Alice Conant. I'm an artist here in Southwest Florida, and I'm going to be doing a tutorial today on how I made this Sugar Skull Flamingo. So you can expect seeing these flamingos in the store how excited I was, and naturally came up with two ideas, either Sugar Skull Flamingo or yard vultures. So we went with the Sugar Skull. So, when I'm not doing the art stuff, I also work full time. So, therefore, our time is a little bit limited on when we're able to be creative. So, mostly it's in the afternoons and like on the weekends. So, to save a little bit of time, I found it was faster to spray paint instead of painting by hand. So, we're just spray painting the base coat on here first to make that a little bit quicker. And I found out a fun little cheat that if you have a chain link fence, you can actually use it to be able to hold your piece while it's drying. So, and now we're back inside. It's the next day working, and I'm moving on to going over this with some paint markers. And basically, I'm just going over it with two basic colors, black and white, for it. First using the thicker paint marker to just get like the big overall areas on here. And I'm just starting with the beak and lining it up to the way that I like on here. Then after the beak is done, I'm going to decide on the skull. So I'm just like, going over it, getting the first line. Basically, I'm making my own color lines for it. And I'm also like trying to double check too that it matches up. Going around the eye, because I decided I just wanted to keep it for a blackout like you would on a skull on there. And we're just gonna go in and fill it in after we made our own lines. Yeah, I come up with a lot of interesting different ideas. In the future, I'm planning on doing there's going to be a dark art exhibit in my town. So we're going to be working on that. I'm thinking about doing like a Medusa sculpture with it. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, feel free to subscribe. And that way you'll be able to check the progress on how that's being made on there. Also going to be working on some other fun ideas. So, like my favorite holiday, if you can't tell, is Halloween. So, be working on building a home haunt because my birthday is also in October. So it's like it's a fun little double celebration with that. So we're going to be having a good time working on building a haunt for the first time. So it's going to be a lot of learning with that, but looking forward to it. And there's a lot of ideas and excitement coming up with that too. All right, so now moving on to the wings. So I noticed the way that the bird was sculpted. It kind of looked like you could do that as fingers for the wings. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going over the marker paint with the marker paint. What would be like the stem of the feather where all of those little parts meet up in the middle. And I'm just going over it with the big marker. If you mess up any areas, kind of like where you can see there on that one where it's a little bumpy outside of it, no big deal. You can just go over it with the black and clean it up when you're done. Right, and now I'm just kind of like attaching them all to the wing part on here, filling it in, and then it's gonna, in a minute, flip over to the other side and do the same thing there. When you're working with the white, or probably with any paint, you want to do it in a couple of layers for it, so it's going to take a couple of coats to get the opaqueness that you want. So that way it's not as see-through. underneath. So just a little tip of that. Yeah, basically, working on starting up this channel because, like I said earlier, I have a lot of ideas for in the future, and I basically want to document it and share my progress with it because I know some of them are going to be a little out there, and you know what? That's awesome. So hopefully this will be a platform to where, you can be able to find your people, find your community, and maybe share with others who also have funky ideas that, hey, I can do it too. And, hopefully this inspires you to be able to go out and make your own stuff. So that's overall the goal with it on here. But yeah, now we're over on the other side and we're going through with the marker paint, filling that in there a little bit better with those gaps. Working on with the smaller marker, I think now at this point. And periodically, you're going to notice my hand moving around a lot with the paint markers. You got to shake them up some to be able to get the fluid inside of them loose enough to be able to work with. I have noticed though, periodically, you do need to be careful when you start to squish the tip part, the nub in, or sometimes it will bleed out all over the place. I've had that happen to me a few times, thankfully. Not on this one, but on another bird that I was working on. So we had to go back in afterwards and clean it up. All right, so now moving on to working on the spine. So I'm starting in the back towards the tailbone. And it's just kind of doing like a curvature for it along the sides. So basically, it's where I have it where it curves in on it, and then the top and bottom curve along, but not in the same direction. So, yeah, just working on filling that in. Like we did earlier, where we're making our own lines and then going back and adding them. Now, you could do it that way. You can completely do it however you like. If you want to see some other examples, Pinterest is really great with that. There's a lot of other fun little designs that are on there where I kind of get inspiration from on here. But sometimes I also find that simpler is better. You know, keep it simple, sweetie, or stupid sometimes. Because sometimes you get built up with these big mammoth ideas and then get overwhelmed with it. And I'm like, okay, we're just gonna keep it simple. Just do the spine, the wings, and the skull. And then after that, we'll go in and then add in the detailing with the flowers. So going over here, back again, it's been later on in the day. And then just adding in some more of the detail or another coat onto it. So also, just a little tidbit. This is my first time doing a video, so please be patient if you are planning on sticking around. Um, it's going to be a learning curve with it, but looking forward to it and looking forward to sharing these ideas with you. I don't know why the camera, for whatever reason, decided to flash in and out like that with the lighting. It might have been the clouds moving. My art studio is on the back porch because I'm a little bit messy when it comes to making art. So we just have like a generic drop cloth thrown on the table to help protect that. And because of it being messy, that might be why it's flashing like that. It might be because of like the clouds moving in front of the sun. So when they move, then it got brighter. That might be an idea. I don't know. But anyway, another fun little tidbit when you are painting, don't wear anything you care about. Don't wear any clothes that you're strongly attached to. Just wear like work clothes types of things because you will get paint on your clothes. And if you don't get it out fast, if it's something that you care about, it's going to be stuck there. It'll dry on it and it's very difficult to get out. So, just a little bit of information on there. Don't wear anything you care about. Or you might decide to go the route to where you make it into a tapestry. I've seen some other artists do that too, to where they'll get like a blank apron or something like that, and then make that like their first project is to paint a design onto it or to like make it into their own thing. So, might be a little fun idea with that too. It's just, again, with it being down here in the summer, more layers is unnecessary because it's gonna make you sweat and be achy and all that other stuff, and we don't need that noise. I'd rather be comfortable painting out on my porch with a fan and some music playing, but some people like that. And that's great for them. That's great for them. I'm just not interested in it. But it is nice though for in the winter. That extra layer is nice for in the winter though. Florida does have pretty much mild winter, but sometimes it does get down into like the 30s at night on like a rare 2 weeks of the year. But yeah, we're just going, adding in that extra layer to make it a little bit more opaque so that way you can see it better. I think I did like three layers on this overall. Right, so yeah, you can definitely tell the difference and hear how more it's popping out in contrast against that hard, that black on there. And I'm just kind of like going in there, doing another little coat. And then after that, we'll go in and then clean the edges up. I've added like some extra little um at the end of the tips for the wings in between them, kind of like you would have like for your fingers, the way those joints, because you have multiple bones within your fingers. So that way that kind of got it to make it look like joints. And then on the very end pieces, I kind of curved them a little bit to look more like claws. I thought that would be a cool detail to add on to there. So I'm going over it with the black paint marker. So that way you're not just seeing this clear glob on it, so it blends in with the bird. And also don't forget to sign your work. All right, so I'm doing like another inspection on it, checking it, making sure that I like it. And now I decided I liked it, so we're gonna add in our flowers. So you can get these flowers anywhere. I got these from Michael's at the time. They were doing their summer sale to help move them out. And yes, anytime that you absolutely can, use a coupon because the craft stores, they always mark their stuff up ridiculously on it. So always use coupon if you can. No reason to do all that extra business. And sometimes you can also use your rewards with that too if you have rewards accumulated with it. So this was like a multi-pack of flowers that were in this one, so I'm just like going through and picking out the different ones that I liked because they were all different colors. So we got that. And now with the little blue hydrangeas, what I'm gonna do, oh, okay, we're back on with the smaller ones. All right, so what I'm doing here is it's got a really long piece that's going to be sticking out, so I'm going to shorten it with some scissors so that way the flowers will lay flat onto the plastic because you want it to be as flat as possible so that way the glue will have more surface area to stick. So I'm just taking a minute. There's like a little trash can down there next to me, so I'm putting all my plastic bits into that after I'm done. And you can pick any shade, any shape of flower that you want to go on it. So that's another reason why I really liked this as like for a good project to share or an idea because you might not like these color choices and that's okay because you know what? You can pick out your own. And also a friend suggested to me too, Miss Pam, that you can go over and maybe even color. If there's like a white flower or whatever, you can color it to the shade that you want. You might be able to use alcohol marker to be able to do that too. So that's an option also. Right, so now we moved on to the blue hydrangeas and we're just cutting those again too, like we did with those small little pink flowers on there, just cutting it off of the stem. And with these though, they're going to be a little bit more interesting because they have the stem bits on the inside that where the pollen would adhere to if it were a real flower. So with that one, I'm going to cut those down extra small. And then we have the big poofy yellow flower that I liked. So we're going to pull the plastic off of that and cut it as close as we can because that one is kind of a little bit more difficult to work with. But while this is going on, the hot glue gun has been heating up. It's plugged in, so it's been heating up to get to temperature because you want that to be nice and hot, hence a hot glue gun, for it to be able to do what it needs to do. And with here, I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put the flowers. You can put them wherever you want on here. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You can do it where if there was like a paint area that you weren't too crazy about, you can use a flower to cover that up. Do be careful though when you're dealing with the hot glue gun. I'm just kind of like lightly tapping it to make sure that it's up to the temperature. And when putting on the flowers, I'm pinching the sides on it because this one has like the bits that are sticking out on the inside. I'm pinching those too on it and then squeezing a little bit there onto that piece that was sticking out, wrapping it around and then pushing it in while I'm still pinching the side and just holding it there for like a couple of seconds or so. All right. So I'm just kind of like showing how I got it on there. I thought it was very, very nice. It was a very nice flamingo lady. And then just kind of like playing with it for where I wanted to put the other one on the other flowers. I was looking at the other one I made earlier to kind of get like a reference. And I've noticed with the hydrangea pieces, they kind of look better when they're in a clump. So I was trying to figure out where exactly I wanted to place those clumps. And it's just doing the same thing. Pinching it on the side so that way you don't burn yourself. And just like holding it down for a couple of seconds after you place it on there with the hot glue. So that way it has more time to cool and adhere to what you're sticking it to. Right, so just fiddling there with it a little bit, making sure I like the placement on it, and trying to check to see how I think the flower would lay down when I add those clusters together. Right, so we're just placing it, lifting the other one, get it up out of the way, sticking that one down. And it's like good little lump, good little grouping there of them. So then deciding, okay, I'm gonna play with the big yellow flower, figure out where I want to put it. And I wasn't too wild about how that one um connection piece between the two finger wings looked. So I decided to put it there to cover that up. So trimming it down a little bit, double checking again, and squeezing the flower so that way it kind of helps protect your fingers also, so that way you don't get burned. Because we don't want to get burned. That's no fun. We don't need to make a trip to the ER. Right? And then figuring out on here where to put the other ones. So it's just playing around with it while it's loose before being glued down. Alright, get that on there for a few seconds, inspecting the work, and then moving on to the little flowers on here, and then trying to figure out where I want to put those. Oh, it is very hot down here in the summer in Florida, so yes, I do have that brightly orange cup next to me as a reminder to drink. Because sometimes you do get in the zone while you're making stuff and you forget basic functions like that to drink, get up, use the bathroom, go eat a snack. So that's why it's the bright orange on there is to catch your attention. Be like, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to drink. And it's kind of another reason too why I have it as the bright orange because I cannot tell you how many times before I got that cup that I would accidentally start to drink the paint water, which is very toxic. Don't do that. It's not a good idea. So it kind of helps remind my brain, hey, this is for drinking. This isn't for your paint. Don't put your paintbrush in this cup. But we're not working with paintbrushes today, but it's okay just for in the future reference. There's actually one artist that I saw like a couple of years ago. She made a coffee mug that says not paint water. So apparently I'm not the only one that has this issue. So that's good. That's good to know. That's good to know. But yeah, so we've moved on to the other side on here, putting down our flowers. So I'm just doing the same thing with the pinching and putting it, holding it onto there. And was this the one where it accidentally pulled it out? Yes. Okay. So with the fake flowers, if you pull the stem and cut the stem off too much, apparently that is a thing, but it's not a big deal on here. You just take the hot glue and glue that part onto it also to make it extra secure. And then I checked the other side to make sure it was okay, fiddling around with it. Yeah, that's the cool thing too about with making stuff. You can make so many mistakes with it, but it's not the end of the world because you can figure it out and how to fix it on there. So, like, if you're painting something and you don't like it, it's okay. Wait for the paint to dry. When it dries, you can go over it and paint it again till you figure it out. And it's like, I heard somebody one time talking about the old masters, and they took an x-ray of some of their paintings, and you would see like a couple of other paintings underneath the one that was on the top. Part of that was just simply because of resources that were available at the time. So they probably just painted that. They didn't have another surface to use, so they decided to paint over their previous creation to make a whole new piece. So that's an option too, reduce, reuse, recycle. That is a thing. It was a thing then too. So, yeah, we're just over here fiddling around, trying to see how we like it. Oh man, that's gonna be fun to clean up later. Because again, there's ideas all over the place on that table, so I just haven't taken the time to clean up my space yet. So pardon on that. But it really doesn't take a whole lot when it comes to this. This particular flamingo I got at the Dollar Tree. They do have flowers there too at the Dollar Tree, so you don't have to do too much. If you don't have paint markers, that's fine. You can just use regular paint with a brush. Um, I just decided not to do that because of time, and I thought it would take longer to paint it by hand with a brush instead of using the pen. So, but yeah, you can totally do that, and then just some hot glue, and I would recommend going over it with a clear coat. I do not recommend doing it with the spray clear coat. I did that to one earlier, and it left a terrible, weird fog all over the piece. So I had to completely repaint it all over again. Was not happy with that. Oh man, I was fuming. So in that instance, I do recommend going over it with the brush for the clear coat varnish. Going over it. Your choice with gloss or matte. I chose gloss because I like the idea of the reflectiveness, the shininess of the gloss, because then it still kind of looks like the plastic birds that you see on the lawn. It's just now it's spooky summer wingbird instead of pink. But I did save a few of them, so that might be a fun idea to throw on some mini skeletons and look like they're riding the flamingos. We might do that later on. I gotta wait for them to come into the store though to get the mini skeletons, but I think I might save a few for that. I think that might be a fun idea. Right, so we just put on our last flower on here, checking it out. Got the signature there on the bottom. I taped up the metal rods to help protect them with the spray painting. So just another little idea. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I just thought that would help protect it a little bit. Keep it from sticking when you go to put it inside. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you now have a beautiful Sugar Skull Flamingo. And got a little fun picture there of it up in the yard next to my little palm tree there. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this.